Real quickly, I'm just gonna break it down real quickly.
Yeah.
Just if you don't mind.
No, I don't
You
mind.
know, I'm an open book. I've been molested twice at the ages of
Mhm.
7 and 11. I've been bullied, not only by my peers in school, but by family. People have talked about me like a dog. I've people have told me to go kill myself. You know, and it's because they saw all the confidence of what I had in what I wanted to be in life. And they saw that I didn't let anything stop me.
Some people dream about the spotlight, others build their way to it. Today's guest has been doing both. Marquis Stewart, actor, TV personality, director, and writer, is a proud St. Louis native who's traveled far in pursuit of his passion. Now, he's preparing to release a new series. It's Marmar Show, currently being pitched to major platforms like Netflix and Tubi. But this conversation goes beyond performance. It's about confidence, growth, and making real moves in the entertainment industry. Welcome to Beyyond You Can Be, hosted by Kenisha Beyyond Beauttie Pinckney. Let's get into it. So let's jump into the conversation. Marquise, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm beyond grateful to be here with you.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Marquise and I were just, we were hee hardy har har. We were having a little fun old time before we pressed play. But let's get into the conversation. I know a lot of performers are really antsy about this topic. But before we get into that, Marquise, tell us about who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
Well, I'm Marquis Stewart, aka Marmar. A lot of people call me Marmar. I'm born and raised St. Louis, Missouri, and I've lived in Los Angeles. I reside in Phoenix, but I go back and forth to Los Angeles and here for work. I'm an actor. I'm a singer. I'm a artist. I'm a creative.
I love it. I love it. You know, you're my twin right now. Okay. I mean, if you want to be my twin, just say
All right. Well,
that.
we twin. We twinning. We twinning.
So, Marquise, what helped you build confidence in your early acting days, especially coming from markets like St. Louis and Phoenix?
you know, Let me just say it wasn't easy. Let me start off with saying that. And I want people to understand that, the road to success has different, it looks different for everyone, okay? Coming from St. Louis, I struggled just a little bit because, there wasn't always a lot of opportunity. There wasn't always a lot of resource. And, being young, knowing exactly what it was that I wanted to do in life, which was being an actor, being on screen, doing everything entertainment. It was kind of hard when you couldn't really get your hands on it. So it it took for me to graduate high school, go off to college in LA to really start thriving and really getting hands on with, resources and getting into those environments that would actually help, elevate my career in acting.
Awesome. Oh, so you said a mouthful, really. And that I hear that you took a leap of faith by actually going to LA and seeing where your career would take you. But was there ever a time you doubted yourself, whether you
There
were
was.
playing it in LA or before you got there? What helped you push through?
And so let me answer the last part of that question. What helped me get through was God, okay? At a very young age, I had to build a strong relationship with God. And I'm so thankful for that because at the ages of 16, I started having severe anxiety and, just feeling lost and hopeless. And so that really pushed me closer to God. It was in the midst of all of that madness that God found me and met me halfway and helped, elevate me to where I am today. So that's that part. And I would just say that, um, coming from my background of being bullied and, people just always talking down on me, it kind of helped me in a way, even though I did go through times where I was down and out because of it. It really strengthened me now that I look back, and even when I was going through it and overcoming it, It's because, the enemy wanted to attack me because I have something bigger and greater than, what anybody could see. And like they say, no weapon formed against you may prosper. Now the weapon may form, but it will not prosper. So God has done a lot for me, and I'm just truly thankful. So I've overcome that doubt. God has helped me overcome that doubt. God presenting opportunities has helped me overcome that doubt. Even the
I love
haters
that.
talking down on me.
I love to hear that, and it's very interesting, right? To hear your story in terms of how you leaned on faith and, despite being bullied, you held on to your faith to make you stronger and more confident. It sounds like you did a lot of the behind the scenes work in terms of building up your confidence. Were there any other tactics or any other practices that you put in play that helped you build your confidence, not just on camera, but behind the scenes too?
So I would say, y- let's start off with this. Being in the entertainment industry is not easy, okay? And it takes a lot of tough skin. And it's not for the weak. I would say behind cameras would really help boost my self esteem, my confidence, and my passion behind the art was basically just, reassuring myself, speaking words of affirmation, and just having that manifestation that, um, there's so much value in playing like different roles and different characters, and to truly embrace that, it could help so many people depending on that character and that situation. And so I feel like doing that really just helped me overcome a lot. And then on camera the same as well. Acting is very intense. A lot of people think it's easy, but it comes with a lot of emotion. It comes with a lot of grit. It comes with a lot of determination. And I feel like being that I have all those characteristics on top of whatever role that I may play, and do it, it just all helped me for the better.
So when you say that acting is not easy, I love the fact that you said that, right? Because most people, that's how they get intrigued into the space because they see other people do it. And if you're good
Yeah.
at it, you make it look easy, right? But it's a
Mhm.
lot of work that goes into it. Talk to the people in terms of how intense it could be with the workload or the homework it takes to ace a performance once you finally get in front of the camera.
So, to have that stellar performance, it really takes a lot. And like you said, people think it's easy, like, oh, I can do that in my sleep, but it's a lot more groundwork to it than a lot of people may seem and like think. But that's because they don't see the whole thing come together. They just see what's on screen. That you have to break down your character. You have to break down the situation and scenarios that your character goes through, whether it's in the movie or a series with episodes. You have to truly dive into who that person is, completely X out who you were born as an identity person, and subtract that and really take place of a whole new person. And I like to tell people this situation. There was one time where I was in training. Okay, I went to AMDA in LA for college, right?
Okay.
And there was this one time I had to do a monologue. It was a very deep, serious monologue. And it consisted of me having to cry and just really feel like the hurt and anger and pain. And my instructor, her name was Jen. I remember after I did it, people were in awe, but she was just like, there's a tiger in you, and I'm going to bring it out. Okay.
Mm.
And let me break this down, okay? Because I didn't know what she meant by that whenever she said it.
Right.
But what she meant was she saw that, like I said, the passion. She saw everything that came with the art. And she
Mm.
saw that I was all about it, you know what I'm saying? But she wanted to bring something out more and deep. And when I tell you at the end of this training course, when I was in college, it was a point where I performed the monologue and I won for best performance, right? But
Right.
afterwards I had to decompress. I had to really meditate because people don't understand when you're acting, you fall into transit sometimes, especially when you have different volumes of emotions, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's angry, happy, sad. It's just like when you put all that together to really bring something to life, it takes a lot of groundwork. And it's not just like, oh, well, I'm just snapping, like, do this. Yeah, oh, that's acting. No,
Right.
it's so much more to it. So much more.
It sounds like you went through the grind when you went to that college, like especially with with Jen seeing the tiger in you and everything like that. It definitely showcases from the point of you graduating from that school and then where you are now in life. It definitely wasn't an overnight success. Would you agree with that?
I definitely would agree with that. And, there was a lot of things that happened after college, and it, like I said, I feel like everything just happens to really help build you. And being that I have that faith with God and my relationship with God, it takes me so much further, And a lot of people, I feel like, get stuck on the industry because of the fame, the
Mm.
glit, the glam. But see, me on the other hand, I do it because there really is a true passion. There really is a true, like, drive and determination of just loving to bring things to life as a creative. So,
A lot of creatives get fed up. All right. I used to be one of those creatives that got fed up when things weren't moving in a certain time, when I felt like I was giving my all, I felt like I was giving my best performances. You and I both know about singing and putting on shows and wanting to be seen and picked up and signed and things like that. And some things
yeah.
don't even work in the way that you thought they would. So how do you stay focused, right? How do you stay focused on the goal, on putting in the work, especially when things get slow and uncertain?
So I would say, for a long time at a young age, like I said, I had a good head on my shoulders, and I always, we hear so many no's in this industry.
Mm.
It's not even funny, and I know a lot of people say that, but it is the truth. We hear so many no's, and those no's really turn into getting fed up, and just feeling like, okay, is this even worth it, or am I really, destined to do this, or should I be doing this? You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like having the mindset has helped me that anytime that if I was to get discouraged by every no and just want to throw in the towel, that's giving 1,000 more people a place and position to do what I want to do and love to do in my career. You see what I'm saying? And I feel like having that mentality has truly helped me because you really just have to have that tough skin to just understand a no doesn't determine your destiny and what you're trying to do. So it's like having that mentality really helped me and has taken me a long way. Thus, 29 years of living and
Right.
14 years acting, and 4 years, doing it professionally. So
It's a lot. I know.
it
Let's break that down. Let's solve this in half real quick,
okay. Let's
okay?
start. We can
Because
start.
you're speaking my language. You're my twin. You're my twin. All right.
Okay.
So you talked about acting for 14 years, and then you talked about professionally for 4. For those who
Yes.
are beginning actors and just starting out in this space, what does that mean?
If you're like me, you want clothes that truly speak for you, but finding pieces that are safe, sustainable, and powerful enough to carry the purpose you walk in every day isn't easy. That's why Motivation Streetwear brand Vive la Vie Pleinement, also known as VLVP, which means Live Life Fully, was created. Tagged as the brand designed to inspire, they aim to do just that by implementing natural fabrics such as 100% cottons into their pieces that help folks not only look good, but feel good inside and out. Created to give you a boost of motivation through their affirmation graphics and bold prints. This isn't just a brand, it's a mindset. Join the club now at www.vlvp.store. Use my code Beyyond You Can Be for 15% off your next order. You're welcome.
That means sometimes you got to do what you don't want to do just to get to where you want to go. Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
to just break it down in a more simpler form is that for so long I was just doing short films, local commercials, anything to get me on camera so I can always perfect my craft and
Mm.
always, stay consistent and stay focused and stay driven. A lot of people, like you said, they want it overnight, and sometimes it ain't gonna happen like that. Sorry, you know. But at the end of the day, if you are truly passionate and you truly see and envision yourself doing something, don't ever give up. Keep doing that horsework. Keep perfecting your craft, whatever it may be, and keep just proving to yourself and speaking over your life and saying, I know who I am, I know what I want to be, and I know where I want to go. And the moment that I stop, I can just lose it all and have to start back from square one. So just keep going. Just keep going. You may not have that big gig yet where you on the big screens, but guess what? You have a start doing something, being in front of the cameras, or performing, doing concerts. A lot of people, they sing at the subway, on the trains and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You do anything to just show and prove to yourself. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to prove to nobody else but yourself and whoever you believe in, and knowing that you have what it takes. This person, that person, Tom and Harry might have said no, but guess what? You are the yes. You can create your yes by keep going. Keep going and putting in that groundwork, that horsework, and don't ever settle. It's as simple as that.
I love that. Keep going. Know who you are. And let me say this, Marquise, and you may be able to agree with this, but you discover who you are when you constantly put things in motion. See, you're not going to understand who you are until you do the short films, until you do the commercials, until you work as a background extra, until you work behind the camera as a production assistant, until you just are supportive of whatever you want to do in this space of film and entertainment. You have to try different things to discover what you're interested in, what challenges you, what you want to keep doing, what you want to cease doing. And that's where it is. That's called the grind. And so all of that is embedded in that. I love that. And it leads me to my next question, because when you're constantly digging into the craft and you're constantly pursuing different factors in the craft, it builds a level of confidence, right? The more you do something, the more repetitive it is, the more you just grow confident and you can speak to the things that you're doing and excited about.
Yes.
What's one thing that actors can actually do on a daily basis to boost their confidence, you think?
So for me, for a long time, what really works for me is, you know, I I create this, this vision. It's like a vision board, but just mentally. And I always, one thing as an actor, you always want to challenge yourself, because if you're not challenging yourself, then you're not really seeing all the different levels of acting that you can do. And for me, I would always just like these big roles that I see, whether it's like playing something that I wouldn't play, like a doctor or a gangster or a thug or just someone from like the streets, any role that you see yourself, playing, play around with those characters, and keep doing it and just envision yourself. And once you start doing that, it really just starts to grow and plant a seed to opening up those doors of opportunities that God already has waiting for you. So that's what I would say. I would say that's something that actors that are just beginning or, trying to figure out, okay, well, what can I do in the in between time, until I get that big yes. And even when you get that big yes, you still want to keep striving. You still want to keep planting. You still want to keep growing to where there's so many levels that you can exceed and elevate in.
I love that. A lot of us have big goals, big dreams, right? And listen, y'all, I don't believe in any dream that's too big, all right?
Mhm.
With execution and daily planning and really managing your time, some things can really become reality, right? Um, when it comes to you achieving your goal, right? That may be a big picture goal for you. How do you set personal goals without getting overwhelmed?
That's a good question. I would say, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed because it's like, of course, we're dreaming big, and then we're just like, oh, wait, well, we don't have the resources to do so. Or, it's always something that comes up, and it's just like, Well, dang, how are we going to make that happen? Well, it's just as simple as you are going to make that happen. You in order to not get overwhelmed, you just have to truly, you know, live in every moment of the journey and of the process, and that will lead you, to the next steps. Everything that you do from the start is a stepping stone,
Mm.
and every stepping stone is going to lead you to a next phase and the next part that that you want to be a part of, or something that you want to do as far as opportunity wise. So I would just say, just really trust the process, and that will help you not get overwhelmed. And you really just have to enjoy the journey. You really have to enjoy the journey on the way.
I love the fact that you say enjoy the journey. I once heard from someone who also once heard from someone, and I'm going to find out where this someone found this quote or this concept, but the concept is be where your feet are.
Ooh.
And wherever you are, focus in that particular thing for that particular moment. And that'll
Yeah.
keep you from being overwhelmed by all the other things you're concerned about, right? And
Yes.
so sometimes we get caught up in the whole, looking at the whole elephant and not breaking it down and just dealing with things piece by piece. But I love the fact that you said these things. There are artists out there whom put in the work, did the grind, they're studying, they're taking workshops, they're doing the homework that they need to do to get stronger in their craft. And they may seem confident. And before they walk out the door and hit those stages and hit those places, there's a piece of doubt that creeps in.
Real quick, speaking of actors trying to figure things out, I created a free 5-day actor readiness diagnostic that helps you see exactly what you're missing and what to fix. If you want clarity, grab it at the link below. All right, back to the episode.
And
Yeah.
it looks like imposter syndrome, right?
Yes.
What would you say to a person who struggles with imposter syndrome right now? And have you ever dealt with that? I know I've dealt with that before in the past in different areas of my life, but how have you dealt with imposter syndrome? What would you say to the person struggling with that right now?
I would just, for anyone that is suffering from imposter syndrome, I would just say you lift that head up, you stick that chest out, okay? And you walk in your truth, your light, and your talent. And you always remind yourself that if it wasn't meant to be, you wouldn't be doing it. If it wasn't meant to be, you wouldn't be able to take those small steps. If it wasn't meant to be, you wouldn't be able to even get the vision or thought to do what you're doing. So if you have imposter syndrome, understand that it's always your time to shine, and let your talent, bring life to your talent. And there's always room for that. The world needs more of that. And whoever wants to say whatever about it, they can watch and talk from afar as you rise and elevate, and as God opens doors.
Can I record your voice and just put it on, you know, just put it on something, and then when I gotta go to sleep and I gotta think about
Just
good
play it
things,
over
I,
and
I
over.
just hear your voice. Just elevate me to the top.
Elevate, yes, yes, yes,
But that's so real, right? It's not only sometimes people that are clouding our minds and filling us with doubt. We got to get out of our own ways too, right?
yes,
And
yes,
we have to speak positive things into our mind, because our whole lives, you'd be surprised how much negativity we feed it, or how much we do not guard against negativity. So that becomes your nature in a way. So
yes.
you have to kind of like reverse the process and fill it
Reverse
with good
psychology.
things.
Mm-hmm.
Reverse psychology. Yeah. Funny thing is, when I was in school, my psychology professor told me there's no such thing as a reverse psychology. She said that concept is not a thing. I'm gonna do my research though. I'm gonna check that out. So let's get back to the point of just actors feeling more confident and giving them hope, right? What's one message? And you said so many beautiful things about how people can overcome judgment and overcome doubt and insecurities. But what's one message you hope actors and performers take away from your story?
One thing I just want actors and upcoming performers, creators to take away from my story is, no matter what you have been through in your life, it doesn't determine who you're going to be. And I say this with a grain of salt, and I say this with all my heart, because a lot of discouragement comes from the obstacles of what people have been through. Real quickly, I'm just gonna break it down real quickly, just
Yeah.
just if you don't mind.
No, I don't
Um, you
mind.
know, I'm an open book. I've been molested twice at the ages of 7 and 11. I've been bullied, not only by my peers in school, but by family. People have talked about me like a dog. I've people have told me to go kill myself. You know, and it's because they saw all the confidence of what I had and what I wanted to be in life. And they saw that I didn't let anything stop me. So from this, I want people to see that you may have had a rough past and trials and tribulations, but that's going to happen because it's life. You have to learn how to navigate and truly find yourself, ground yourself, trust in God, and really just, see the bigger picture of everything. Like I was saying earlier, if you envision it, if God allow you to see it and plant that seed, then it's meant to be. And it's all up to you to keep doing the work aside from all this world distractions that takes place on the daily, and really truly find that sense of peace within yourself and your identity, and you just take it and run with it. Because once you do that, I can guarantee you so many opportunities are going to come your way in a windfall. You're not going to know what to do or say.
Mm,
It's going to be cup overflow. Cup
mm.
overflow. Abundance. And and I can't express that enough. It's like I'm still in shock with things that I've done, because it's I'm just like, wow, like you when you get to that point where it's just like so many things are happening for you, you're just like, man, like I remember when I was envisioning this, and it's like once you get to that, then you just be like, okay, I'm ready to take it up a notch higher. I want to take it higher. So that's what I want people of the arts, actors, actresses, performers to take away from my story. You can be whoever you want to be, regardless of your past.
Regardless of your past. Marquise, when did you realize that this was what you were going to do? Hands down. Nothing could deter you, nothing could distract you. All the challenges and misfortunes that you've encountered in your life. Like, when did you realize, like, I'm planting my feet? Did you come across an event, a person, a moment where you recognize this is where I'm supposed to be? This is who I'm supposed to be?
Let's just say, okay, so we all know people of the generations of the 90s and 80s, we all know That's So Raven, okay? And
That was my
when
show. Listen, hold on. Let me
when
get
that
my. You see that?
what you
No, I
just
was
see, what you
daydreaming.
just see in the
I had a
future.
vision.
You, no, I when I first seen That's So Raven on Disney Channel, everyone can tell you I was always planted to the seat or the floor wherever I was sitting to make sure I turned it on and tuned in. And this was for 6 seasons, 7 seasons straight. After seeing Raven Simone, it was in her talent that she allowed me to see my purpose. Um, and ever since That's So Raven, and also the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Will Smith, that
Yeah.
is when I really realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I have an art for the entertainment. I have art for creating, making people laugh, making people feel like these emotions. Because once I got into acting after seeing That's So Raven, see, for someone like me who's passionate about it, it's like it almost came as a second nature, something very natural to me because I felt it. See, they like to say us performers and actors are very sensitive, but that's not the case. We're
Mm,
not sensitive, but we have empathy. We have an emotional attachment to having empathy. And that's how we're able to pull in these different characters in these different ranges of emotions, you know?
Mm.
So yes, after That's So Raven and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I was like, an actor is who I'm going to be.
I know that's right. I love that. I love that. And come on now, you know I'm from Philly, so you bringing
Yeah,
up
I
Will
know.
Smith.
West Philadelphia, born and raised on the
You know,
playground is where I spent most of my days.
I mean, come on. You really trying to be my twin. Like, what's happening? But no, if it's okay, you shared with me a story off camera
Yes.
about just this experience being near Will Smith without being near Will Smith. So talk to us
Listen,
about that.
if Will Smith, listen, if you ever see this, I want you to know that I was 19 on the Hollywood Boulevard. Um, it was a weekend, you know, and I was in college, but I went to the TLC Chinese Man Theater where the handprints and the footprints are. And I just, out of curiosity, I was like, you know what? Let me just try to see if, like, let me put my foot in the footprints and the handprint, and see if it fit. And Will Smith was the one that I chose. I kid you not. I put my foot in there and I put my hands in there, and it fell right into place. It
Oh,
wasn't no inch over. It wasn't no inch less, and that was for the hands and the feet. And so it was at that very moment that I said to myself, and that I spoke out loud to God. I said, God, I know what you're doing here. I
mm,
see what you're doing, and I can feel it.
mm.
I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing here on this earth in my mission. Not only do I have talent that God has given me, but I have a testimony that comes with it that can help others as well.
Marquis, man, like story sent chills up my spine because that's like a full circle moment, right? If you had any doubt before, the moment you put your hands and feet on that walk, oh man, it was
Listen,
confirmation.
nobody could tell me nothing. I said my feet and my hands
Right.
just fell into the print of Will Smith. And if that doesn't tell nobody something, it told me everything that I needed to know, okay? And I was just like, going forward, can't nothing, ain't nothing, won't nothing, was gonna stop me for pursuing the career of acting and just evolving in it. And that's why I'm here today. You know,
Awesome. It's the passion for me. It's the
it's
passion in
the
your voice. I love it. And shouts out to Will Smith. He was just honored a few days ago.
yes,
He has a street sign on 59th Street in West Philly. So, he's just a legend forever. It
a
just is what it
true
is. But I'm
legend.
glad you shared that story. Like that definitely is empowering and it's confirmation too. And that's advice for everybody that's watching this, like creatives. Like once you get grounded, just really look for those signs of confirmation, right?
Yes,
If it is the thing that keeps you up at night, if it's something that you could care less if you didn't eat or sleep, I would advise you actually eat and sleep because it's good for your body and your
actually
health and
did
your
that.
mind. But if it's something that you just would do without compensation, and we'll talk about those things later, uh, but if it's something that you're so driven to do, if you feel like it's a calling and it's something, it look for the signs, right? It You can't miss it when you know it's for you. Is all I'll say. You
That's
can't
true.
miss it. Marquise, you are trailblazing this industry already. Tell the people any highlights in your career you feel most proud about.
Well, there's a few, but one that was just so surreal to me, and I think about it still to this day. I got to work with the lovely Gabourey Sidibe, Eric Andre, and Johnny Knoxville on the prank panel on ABC, and I I just, in that moment when I was going through all the auditions and the casting tapes and things like that, it was just like, okay, is this really happening? Like, is this really going on? So I'm just that moment was just it was like a highlight because they really adored me. You know what I'm saying? Like meeting me, and I'm just like, dang, I'm like, I got like big time A list like people, having my names in their mouth and just seeing all the work that I'm doing and things like that. But it was just a very grateful moment. And I think it really, like, I don't know, I'm already a humble person, but it even humbled me even more because I was just like, these are confirmations, these are things that happen and opportunities that happens and takes place that just shows you that God is truly putting you, exactly where you prayed to be and where you're working hard to be. So, having the opportunity to be in the same room as them, conversate with them, work alongside of them was just amazing. It was
I bet
amazing.
that felt so surreal the moment you were on that stage.
Man, and Gabba Ray Cinnabay, she's my we both Tauruses, so we really had like a connection. She's born her birthday I think is May 6th, which is my
Okay.
queen's birthday. My queen is my mother. I call my mother my queen.
Nice.
So that's her birthday. So it's just like we had a connection. And then Eric Andre, yo, if you watch this or if you see this, I'm still waiting on that call to be in that movie to play the younger version of you because he did tell me that when I was on set with him. He was like, yo, he's like, you gotta play a younger version of me in a movie. He just kept
Oh.
saying it. He didn't say it once, he didn't say it twice, he said it more than 4 times. He
Oh,
just
see,
kept
no, we
saying
gotta
it.
follow up. We gotta follow up with
I
that.
said the follow up has to come. I don't know if it's contracts or anything that's in place, but that most common 2 year time frame is almost up.
I love it. I love it. That is so fire. That's so dope. Any new projects you got coming up? Any exciting moves that you're making that are on the way?
So I do have. So there's a movie that I wrote.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
there's a movie that I
Filmmaker.
wrote. It's called Breaking Money. It's an action romance, like it's a romance action slash comedy. And I'm starting to film it within the next 2 months. And it'll be out in September of this year. And I'm excited about it. I've actually started a new journey alongside with my everything that I'm doing with acting, like in the industry. I actually just started my own network, the Flash Network.
Can we get the fire signs going? Please, please. Drop the bombs, everything. What? You just doing it. You're doing it.
Yes, I really felt inspired because I wanted to give other people opportunities like I've had myself, and I just remember being so young and just so like driven and just feeling discouraged because every time I felt like a good opportunity came, it was it was always money, yo. I know money make the world go round, but look, let me tell you something. You cannot put a price tag on talent and looks. Do you see your boy? I
Okay.
might look like this now, but just imagine when I was younger and really thriving and really knew what I wanted to do. But it just really hurt because it was like, dang, they wanted big money and being like, oh, I'm gonna be doing this and I'll be that. But then, things happen for a reason. And look at me now, I'm here, and I may have taken a different direction, but
Mhm.
it still landed to where I wanted to be. So now I turned that into wanting to give opportunities to other people. So I have a network, the Flash Network, and it's original series and movies written by me and
Outstanding.
and directed by me. So I'm really excited for this new journey because I have so much envision for the network, and I'm really ready to just give people, that yes, that one yes that would just give them that boost of confidence and just unbreakable and unshakable, determination when it comes to them in their acting career.
Well, that's so empowering, Marquise. And the fact that you grown in your career, but you still are humble enough to remember your beginnings and you're giving back to people who are just starting out as you did. So I commend you for that. That's great
Thank
work. And I'm gonna look into the Flash Network. I'm gonna look into everything that you do because you just got it going on, and you're my twin. So I'm gonna keep saying
you.
that. Uh,
Listen, you already know we're gonna stay in contact. Don't think that this string is gonna just fall off. There's no cutting
right.
this string. It's in place and intact.
I always tell people, prepare to get sick of me. Prepare to get sick of me. Because it's hard to get off. It's hard to get rid of me, okay? Once I got your contact information, hey, happy holidays, happy birthday. Oh, yeah, I remember dates. But that's awesome, man. How can viewers stay connected with you?
So you can follow me on IG, which is at Marquis Stewart Official. I'm on Facebook, Marquis A. Stewart, and also on X as Marmar Official. So that's how you can stay up to date with your boy. And then also the Flash Network has an Instagram page, Flash Network Official, and then also on Facebook as the Flash Network.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, Marquise, I really enjoyed our talk today. Thank you so much for taking the time and just speaking to our viewers. And I'm looking forward to see you make some big wins, man. I'm gonna follow your journey for sure.
Thank you so much. And I can't wait. Look, hopefully we can work in the near future, on set or something.
And
Make
will.
something happen.
And will. All right.